Mr. Speaker, say, the Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable Members, thank you very much for this opportunity to give this ministerial statement with regard to an update on the Department of Environment's activities. Mr. Speaker, say, Fiji's growing global environment brand directly impacts our economy. Our pristine environment, wide sandy beaches, blue oceans, and our environmental leadership all are some of our unique selling points internationally. Our ministry has taken indubitable strides towards protecting Fiji's environment. The ministry, while enforcing, also will continue to ensure that environmental protection does not hurdle business investments. Mr. Speaker, say, Section 40 of the Constitution of the Republic of Fiji states that every person has the right to a clean and healthy environment. And this, Mr. Speaker, say, includes the right to have the natural world protected for the benefit of the present and future generations. Mr. Speaker, say, our ministry, through the Department of Environment, continues to enforce the Environmental Management Act 2005, the Ozone Depleting Substance Act 1998, the Endangered and Protected Species Act 2002, and the Litter Act 1998. Mr. Speaker, say, this is the legislative framework that we derive our power from when we undertake our work within the Department of Environment. Mr. Speaker, say, the main purpose of the Environmental Management Act 2005 is to protect Fiji's natural resources and for the control and management of developments, waste management and pollution control. Mr. Speaker, says, provided for in the Constitution, it is our obligation and duty to leave the state of environment as our forefathers had left it for us, in the same condition and state for the future generations. We in the ministry are overseers and regulators. It's our collective responsibility to ensure that we protect our environment. Mr. Speaker, say, to maintain control and ensure the sustainable use of our natural resources, environmental impact assessment is a tool used to identify the environmental, social and economic impacts of any project prior to decision making. It aims to predict environmental impacts, potential degradation at an early stage of a project, find ways to reduce adverse impacts, shape projects to suit the local environment, and present the predictions and options to the decision makers. So Speaker, say, in economics we say that we try our best to derive a Pareto optimal solution where no one is worse off while someone benefits. The Speaker said the Department of Environment administers the EIA process for all development applications received in pursuant to Section 4 of the Environmental Management Act 2005. Mr. Speaker, say, for development projects as provided for in the Environmental Management EIA process regulations and the EIA guidelines, development and investors are required to submit a screening application to the department, who will then undertake a detailed perusal of the proposal to decide whether an EIA is required or not. And if it is required, the department will then provide a terms of reference for the EIA. For the last fiscal year, Mr. Speaker, said, the Department of Environment approved 80 EIA reports, while 14 EIA reports were declined. 57 prohibition notices were issued by the department, Mr. Speaker, say, for breaches under the Environmental Management Act 2005, the Environmental Management EIA Process Regulation 2007, and for breaches of EIA approval conditions were issued to certain proponents. Mr. Speaker, say, this is not an arbitrary process. This is not a template-driven exercise. Terms of reference differs with reference to the nature of the development project, as well as the size of the project, or the environment and socio-economic scenario of the area at which the proposed project is to be constructed. So, Mr. Speaker, say, contrary to what some mischief makers are saying, this is not a template-driven process. This is not an arbitrary process. Mr. Speaker, say, the department regulates waste discharges, disposal and emissions from all commercial facilities in the country pursuant to Part 5 of the Environmental Management Act 2005. A commercial facility under the EMA 2005, Mr. Speaker, refers to individuals, including government, who engage in providing a service or any other activities undertaken for financial gains. Ministries submit for their project, Ministry of Fisheries, Ministry of Forestry. Mr. Speaker say, within the Ministry of Waterways and Environment, the Waterways Department projects are formally submitted to the Department of Environment for screening. Ministry of Agriculture's work are submitted, screening application is submitted by Ministry of Agriculture to Ministry of Waterways and Environment for their decision whether the EI must be undertaken. If it is to be undertaken, what is the terms of reference? Mr. Speaker say, every commercial facility in operation is required to hold a valid disposal permit with conditions from the Department of Environment. There are several waste disposal permits issued by the department depending on the nature of the operation of the facility. The Speaker say, the last financial year, the Department of Environment issued a total of 147 permits, and a total of 10 prohibition notice was issued for breaches under the Environmental Management Act 2005 and the Environmental Management Waste Disposal and Recycling Regulations 2007. 3 of these notices, Mr. Speaker say, were for breaching the conditions of waste disposal permits issued by the department, while 7 were for illegal dumping. Mr. Speaker say, we have obtained a list of hotels and other industrial operations from Africa and are now matching with our list to see who all carry a waste disposal permit and who doesn't. The audit exercise is very revealing. A particular group of business operators, around 90% of them do not carry a waste disposal permit. We have met them and they argued that they have a valid license to operate their business. Are they at fault? Well, touch and go. There was a disconnect between the department offering business license and the department offering waste permit back then when this operation started. So what do? Do we go and close these operations down? Certainly not. We go and work with them to ensure they're now putting all the requirements in place. If they don't have them in place, and we offer them a permit. Mr. Speaker said, that is the way to go. The department is a facilitator, a regulator. Mr. Speaker said, the department through appointed litter prevention officers also enforces the Litter Act 2008, which regulates the deposit of litter in public places. Those that litter in public, Mr. Speaker say, will be charged a $40 fine, and failure to pay will result in court proceeding. Mr. Speaker say, the Department of Environment in the last financial year appointed and trained 355 litter prevention officers to help enforce the Litter Act 2008. Now, Mr. Speaker say, we intend to appoint part-time paid litter prevention officers. Mr. Speaker say, our ministry has a national focal point to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete ozone layer and regulates the Ozone Depleting Substances Act 1998 and its regulations 2010. Mr. Speaker say, our ministry focuses on monitoring the use of gases that deplete the ozone layer through its licensing and permitting system. Mr. Speaker say, our ministry currently monitors 487 registered companies and 1,335 technicians that are users of ozone depleting gases. Mr. Speaker say, in the last fiscal year, the Department of Environment issued 73 new licenses to handle controlled substances and 24 new storage permits. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker say, 451 technician license and 211 company storage renewals were issued. 27 approvals have been issued in the last fiscal year, Mr. Speaker say, to registered importers on the importation of ozone depleting gases. Mr. Speaker say, I'm providing these details so that members on the other side understand the variety of work that the Department of Environment is doing. Yes. Mr. Speaker say, in addition to this, listen, Mr. Speaker say, in addition to this, the Department of Environment conducted 7 good practices in refrigeration training, 3 Australian fumigation aggregated scheme training, 3 hydrocarbon trainings, and 4 trainings for enforcement of officers in conjunction with the Fiji National University, Biosecurity Authority of Fiji, and the Fiji Revenue and Customs Services. The Speaker say the main purpose of these trainings is to ensure that the industry and enforcement agencies are well trained, have the capacity to deal with ozone depleting substance gases and its replacement alternative. Mr. Speaker, say we have also provided the industry with an assistance in terms of certain equipments. Mr. Speaker, say I'm informed that during the fiscal year just gone by, the department processed over 1,600 permits and approvals, saving over 2,000 clients, potential clients, and supported potential developments worth a little over $2 billion. Mr. Speaker, say while assisting its role as a regulator, the department also enumerates itself as a customer-friendly, business-friendly output. This does not mean that environmental laws will be compromised, absolutely not. On the other hand, the department will advise and handhold its applicant customers through the process. This effort is evident from the recent launch of the exclusive customer care unit at the department. The friendly, willing team at the unit stands ready to support and guide applicants through the permitting process. Mr. Speaker, say the department has over last year designed and rolled out a unique customer outreach program called Business Roundtables. This is a proactive approach, Mr. Speaker, say, so that we let them self-regulate themselves. The Department of Environment in the last year has seen a steep increase in its focus on private sector being the main source of economic growth, community income, and jobs. The department has sought to partner with the private sector to achieve faster and more sustainable development outcomes. This roundtable program focuses on engaging with the private sector, helping resolve issues through dialogue and awareness raising. In the coming weeks and months, the department will engage a lot more with the resource owners and communities through the National Environment Council, a legislative body under the Environment Management Act 2005. Mr. Speaker, say our ministry recognizes the healthy ecosystem provide for healthy people in a healthy nation. For this reason, Mr. Speaker, say our ministry through various policies and international conventions implements programs to ensure protection and management of Fiji's important ecosystem and species. In recognizing that Fiji's unique biodiversity underpins economic and social prosperity of a small island nation, our ministry aims to protect species from extinction by regulating trade in wildlife species of national global significance, making sure that species are substantially and legally required from the wild, and traders are registered to trade in the species so that we have complete data on what is traded, what's volume of trade, what's the existing stock on the ground. Mr. Speaker, say the Endangered and Protected Species Act 2002 aims to regulate and control the international trade, domestic trade, possession and transportation of species protected under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, commonly known as CITES. Mr. Speaker, say in the last fiscal year, our ministry has issued 161 export permits, 32 import permits, refused 2, and registered 17 companies under the Endangered and Protected Species Act 2002. Mr. Speaker, said the Department of Environment continues to raise public awareness on the importance of Fiji's biodiversity and has taken a vigorous approach in consulting with our stakeholders on key regulatory requirements under the various environmental laws. Mr. Speaker, said numerous workshops and roundtable consultations, enforcement trainings and media campaigns have been conducted to improve public's understanding of Fiji's environment and biodiversity and how individuals can cooperate in addressing challenges. Mr. Speaker, say I get numerous complaints that we are slow, we don't understand the business scenario and business model. Mr. Speaker, say when I respond and talk to them, then they get to understand the full and bigger picture. Mr. Speaker, say in addition, our ministry is already working towards establishing a protected area registration system to enhance management and reporting of Fiji's PA national commitments and obligations under the Convention on Biological Diversity. Mr. Speaker, say our ministry is keen to work with all partners in this new fiscal year and is looking forward to genuine, sustainable and transparent working partnership. Our ministry will encourage one and all to be proud of our rich environment heritage that defines us, our beautiful country we live in, and let's keep Fiji beautiful. The Speaker said, we need a collective effort. We need to do this together. The Speaker say, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members, I thank you for your time taken to listen to this statement. Naka.